All right, take two. What's going on, everyone? We are Tottenham TV here, back again for another Good Morning Tottenham. I'm joined today by Brian Daigle and Phil for the first time in the studio. How are we doing, guys? Good to have you in the studio.
Thank you. Yeah, no, honour to be here. So, watched you for a long time, and to be this side, unreal.
Exactly. Look, you can see yourself in exactly for the first time. And Brian, how's everything doing? How you been?
I'm good. I'm good. We had a wonderful night. I met Phil for the first time last night. Then there's a few people over from America. There's Colin. There's his best mate Nick, his wife Beth, and his mum Julie, who's got their own channel. So we went out for a nice curry and a few drinks yesterday. Obviously, me on the cokes. And then, had a really good evening. Then, obviously, as you guys know, it is always a pleasure for me to be in this studio.
We love having you here.
It's one of the best things that happens to me coming into this studio. And then, obviously, we have a Bob update. So,
Sure, and I'm sure the viewers are very keen to, because we know Bob is, not in a great place right now, and we're all hoping the best. And we've already seen a few comments asking what the latest is with Bob, and so go for it.
Yeah, so basically, obviously, as we've said, and obviously, I know Tammy's in the chat, Bob's ex, with his kids, Tyler, Arian, AJ, and Asha, and obviously we've got Kim there as well. What can we say? So there's going to be more of an update later on. But I don't know how much people know. So as I said yesterday, the easiest way to do these updates, if there are updates, is obviously if I'm coming on WeAreTottenhamTV, it's a lot easier to do them on here because obviously of your audience, it's a lot easier to get the information out via this platform. So what have we got to tell you and what can we say right now? So don't know if people know, a couple of days ago, I think it was Boxing Day, they moved him back to Harlow from Milton Keynes, so he's local again. Yesterday wasn't the best day. His oxygen levels have spiked up again, and his dependency on the oxygen machine is quite high again. We are waiting he had to have test results yesterday, but what I can say right now, and I'm going to read this verbatim what Kim sent me this morning when she spoke to the nurses, was, okay, Bob has been stable overnight and has been on his tummy, which he's relieving all the pressure on his lungs when he's on his back, because that's where he's really struggling. Which has seen his oxygen requirement come down slightly. However, he is still on quite high levels. There's been no significant change, so it's a case of as you were with him still being high on oxygen. The doctors haven't been round yet, and they will call either Tammy, his ex, or Kim. He had to have some chest scans done because they were concerned about the heart, so they're checking that out. Because obviously we all know Bob had a major heart surgery last year. And we are waiting for the call back from the doctors, which should be and could be whilst we're on air, whether it's on this show or when we're doing the recorded. So any more updates, you will know. But let's just say we've had a step backwards. His oxygen levels have gone up. And he's fighting. He's fighting. And like we said, he's back in Harlow. So the news hasn't been extremely positive. But we're waiting to hear an update from the doctors today. Let me just turn my phone on silent. But if you do see me, guys, constantly looking at my phone, it's just because I'm waiting for that message to come from Kim or Tammy. And we will update you as and when we get more news. But like we said, Bob is currently a little step backwards and fighting. But let's just hope, as you said, we see in the new year with something very, very, very positive, which is Bob on the mend.
Yeah, and we're all obviously thinking of Bob and prayer. I'm obviously asking Brian, every day what the update with Bob is, and it's very hard for everyone at the moment, knowing that that's the situation. But we just got to all just keep positive thoughts and just pray that he pulls through, because it's a tough situation.
What I will add on that, and we said it, basically, if you don't get an update, if you don't hear it, if you're in our WhatsApp groups, or if you follow me, Kim or Tammy on Twitter or anything, if you don't hear anything, there is no update. When we get the update, obviously it's Tammy, Kim and me are in a group. We talk amongst the three of us, and then obviously we release it as and when. So if you hear nothing, we haven't forgotten to update you guys or anything. It's just at the moment there's a lot of, with him being in the coma, there's not really a lot to report unless we hear from the doctors. But any time that any of us have an update, we promise you that all of you guys will know, because we know the love that man has. And he knows how much he's loved. And like I said, anyone that comes into contact with him, whether it be via the chat, sharing a screen with him, or have the absolute honour and blessing of having him in your life and speaking to him on a daily, your world is a better place for having that man in it. So when we have anything, trust me when I say you guys will know as soon as possible. And if we get an update whilst we're on air or doing the pre-recorded, I promise you guys, you will know.
Thanks a lot, Brian.
That's okay, buddy.
We appreciate the update. I'm sure Guy's getting a lot of positive comments as well, everyone putting in the chat. So let's just keep positive. But it is New Year's. You got any New Year's resolutions, guys? What are you thinking for the new year?
Not to put any more stupid bets on, so risk a divorce from my wife. Maybe rule one.
Is that starting from today? Because I've heard you've already put some more bets.
I mean, yeah. So Tottenham on Tour we're going to start doing pop-ups where we just randomly appear and do these things. And Ben came on, and as people know, my love for this channel runs very, very deeply. I will do anything for this channel. Except, and I will say, people heard there may be I Love Levy songs coming up, but they're not happening. They're not happening. I just cannot bring myself to do it. And there's a certain person by the name of Cody Mack that will probably clip me, and it will be all over YouTube and all over Twitter. So there were some stupid bets coming in. One of them said dress up as a full kit W. I've got to be careful. I don't know how early we're into the video, which I'm more than prepared to do, but not the Arsenal game. Chelsea fine. Arsenal no chance. So yeah, there are a few crazy bets coming around if you hit that magical number whilst we are on air.
Well, we're not far away. We're about 370 subscribers away. So if you haven't subscribed, you're in the chat, you're watching, you haven't subscribed, go over and smash that subscribe button. We're literally 370 subscribers away from 100,000 subscribers, which is a massive, massive milestone for us if we can hit that before the new year. I doubt we're going to hit that today, but it really does mean a lot having all those 100,000 people. I just can't.
It's incredible.
Fathom it.
You guys do such a great job for every one of us. Not only the subscribers, but how many channels have splintered off because of you guys and the support you give us and the help you give us. You are just simply outstanding. And if there is a channel on YouTube that is deserving hitting such a magical number, it is this one.
Jimmy Smith says, Brian, send Levy a love letter for 100k.
Well, put it this way, I would send him a love letter, but I've sent him quite a few emails and I'm blocked by him, so I could send him one by post. I could do that, why not? It won't be love. It won't be love declared, though. That's what I will say.
Moondog with a super chat says, sending love to Bob and his family. Thank you very much, Moondog. Look, we do have a game coming up tomorrow on New Year's Day. We play Watford away at Vicarage Road, which I think we usually have a decent record away at Watford. They haven't had the best time of it as of late. So let's get into a match preview. Let's talk about the game. Obviously, the last time out. I think they haven't played, have they? They got their game postponed last time.
I think the last
out.
game they played at the weekend and they lost to West Ham, didn't they?
That's right, 4-1. They lost 4-1 to West Ham after taking the lead after 5 minutes. But apart from they've beaten Man United 4-1.
Yep.
And they've lost every other game, I think, under Ranieri.
Everton, they won.
They beat Everton. That feels like a long time ago. They won 5-2. But other than that, they've literally lost every game. So looking at this game, obviously we drew quite a damaging result against Southampton, 1-1. How important is it that we have to get the win? First of all, to get Conte that first win away from home in the Premier League, which he hasn't actually had yet. Because the longer that goes on, the longer you feel like, is this really an issue away from home? Because our home form's pretty good. I think we're third in the home table and we're 13th in the away table. So there really is contrasting form. But even though, Watford aren't the best, it's still very important that we put that result that we got against Southampton right straight away. Because if we drop more points, then all of a sudden that narrative is like it'll be unbeaten in 8, or even if we draw, it'll be unbeaten in 8. But that's 4 wins, 4 draws. All of a sudden it's not so many wins, and all of a sudden you get the feeling like, is top 4 actually possible? So, what's your feeling going into it? How important is it for you we put that result right that we didn't get on against Southampton?
Go on, Phil. Yeah, it's absolutely. I think you've covered it. It's absolutely massive that the result against Southampton was clearly 2 points dropped. But they've got to get rid of this, drawing away from home, and especially when you look, it's Chelsea Wednesday. You won't be able to come on the back of that with a resounding victory at Vicarage Road. And look at it, they've got injuries and everything. But from that point of view, it's all about, us doing what we do, and it's scoring those goals and winning that game. It's massive.
It is.
Do you see Watford? They're a side which, especially under Ranieri, there's lots of goals usually in their games. Very attacking side, very open. They usually leave the back door wide open. But, with Emmanuel Dennis up front, he's one of the form strikers in the league at the moment, isn't he? Is he a player? I know he's only been at Watford 6 months, but do you think Tottenham should be looking at him?
I 100% do. I 100% do. I've been saying this for a little while. He looks a real menace, whether it be playing from the wing, whether it be more prominently up front. He looks like him and Sarr are the 2 key players, but I think he's been outstanding. But what I will say is with Watford, a couple of years ago, last season at the Lane, we played them on New Year's Day and beat them 4-1. 2 goals from Kane, 2 goals from Dele. we've got to get a win here. This is like going to Watford. This has got to be the easiest 3 points. It should be we should have a great performance. We should really set a marker and say, right, this is where we are. But like you said, they're so Jekyll and Hyde, and probably the one we don't want to see turns up tomorrow.
Yeah, you never know. You'd think as well, losing 4-1 at home to West Ham, they're going to want a reaction to that defeat as well. But looking at their form in their last few games, they really are a team who are completely out of form. 5 out of 5 losses in the last 5 games. So they've really struggled. They've lost every game since beating Man United 4-1. So they're really coming into this with not a lot of momentum. Ismaila Sarr, obviously their main player, he's on the injury list. He's not going to be playing.
There's 9 of them.
There is 9 of them, but he's on the headline. Danny Rose as well, who looks like he won't be making a appearance against Spurs. But Sarr was their danger man, wasn't he? He's the one where you're really worried about. Obviously, you've got Dennis as well, who's been in great form. But he was, at the beginning of the season anyway, their danger man. And him being out, you got to think, like, how many... Like, we should have enough in this game to get over the line. But yeah, I guess we did think the same against Southampton. So do you think we could risk underestimating them in this one if we... because we got a few injuries as well, so we're not going to. Are we going to make many changes from the game against Southampton?
I think with this one, I think Ollie Skip has to play. I think we started to see now, even Højbjerg, who I love dearly, and I know Curse is in the chat, who is absolutely obsessed with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Even he is looking at a different player without Skip. I think we're starting to see with Ollie Skip, him being out makes such a huge difference to the way we play. He's been so fantastic for us. I think he has to start, because he is dominating games and running games. I think him starting is a huge key to us getting 3 points. I think he's that important right now.
Do you think, when it comes to team selection, the game against Chelsea comes into mind when you look at this one? Or you just think you can't look too far ahead?
I think it's a case of, similar to Palace, is you go out, you get the result early on, and then you can, take your foot off the gas. But I agree with Brian. I think Skip has to come back. I think Skip and Moore will come back in. And then, it's just all about that first half performance, hit the ground running, get the result, and then you can start thinking about the Chelsea game, which is obviously huge coming up.
Yeah, we play at Stamford Bridge in midweek and in a Carling Cup semi-final. Big chance for us to get a trophy. So I'll be interested to see when, because we are taking callers, by the way. The rendezvous link is in the community section for all our members. So if you want to call in and give your opinion on anything we talk about, then it is in the community section. But it'll be interesting to see how Conte approaches this game from that perspective. He is going to rest players. There should be, from Saturday to Tuesday, enough time to rest, shouldn't they? So should be able to play full team in both games. But when you look at selection headaches, because of injuries, Bergwijn being out,
he
was out for the weekend. Sessegnon, he's not going to be fit. I know Lo Celso's back in, he's fit, but Romero only returned to light training. So there aren't many, you can probably pick the team, to be honest. If it's 3-4-3, you can probably know what it is going to be, because we have a few injuries. We're with it being on New Year's Day and in January, any chance? Do you think we might have seen the last of Ndombele and Dele Alli in a Spurs shirt, or do you think with them potentially looking to leave this window in this month?
Yep.
Is it a case of we play them to put them in the shop window, or is it a case of we don't play them in case they do get a move and an injury could scupper that?
I think for me, Dele's performance against Southampton told every Tottenham fan exactly what they already knew, that I wouldn't have him anywhere near the side now. I think he's, if he's going to go, just let him go with your blessing. Thanks for a few good years, and Tongi's just feels nowhere near. And if you listen to Conte's comments yesterday, it doesn't sound like he's got much of a future at the club. So just a case of moving them on, isn't it?
Well, Dele, as me and Sel say, when everyone said after Liverpool, he's back, I was like, no, he's not. He's done this before, where he has one game, and then obviously we did it against Man City, where he ran the most. It was like, woohoo, look, he's ran the most. And it was like, okay, yeah, very good. I put a tweet out yesterday basically saying if Dele Alli was to bring out that Gareth Bale flag, it would say gaming endorsements Tottenham in that order. Out the door. Bye-bye. Enough. Too many times, too many excuses, too many failures. And under Ndombele, I think he's out the door. I think he's out the door. But I think with him, you're probably going to get him a loan deal with maybe an option to buy. I don't think you're going to see someone come in with his track record and say, right, we want him. Here's a considerable amount of money. But the main
Because we probably on Ndombele, we're going to have to take a loss, aren't we?
Oh,
We could have to accept that, but how much of a loss do we take? Is it a case of, and it's not only the transfer fee you paid, 60 million, 55 million, whatever it was. He's also a joint highest paid player.
Yeah.
200 grand a week. So I think it's purely just because of his wage. We're probably going to have to put him on a loan deal. Because we're going to have to convince someone that this guy is worth the money, anywhere near the money that we paid for him, and to convince someone to take on his wage and a big portion of the transfer. Let's say we're not going to accept any less than around 30 million, are we? Let's be honest, at least. Levy, is going to want most of his money back. He's not going to accept anything less than 30. I'd be very surprised. So I think the only way Ndombele leaves is on a loan, and then if the loan goes well, then that club might be convinced to buy him.
So what I will say with this window is, we know it's opening up, we know how important it is, and we are going to see, first of all, it's very important to see who Conte is allowed to bring in, and if it's Conte that's actually, or Paratici that's actually getting the players, or again, if it's the certain person whose name won't be mentioned because Cody's already clipped me. So it's not just about that, we're going to see if these players are allowed to leave, and if they are allowed to leave, for what money. Because obviously, as you said, he's going to want to get as much money as he can, and we know you can't get 60 million or whatever it is for Ndombele again. If we get a £30 million bid, I think Conte would take it. I think we would take it, and we'd be like, let's just get him off the wage bill. But then we're going to see if it gets sanctioned, if it's allowed. So we're going to learn a lot from the next 4 weeks, and I think it's just as important to see who we get out the door and for what price, as opposed to who comes in.
Are you anticipating a busy January, Phil? Is that what you're thinking? Or are you
thinking,
been burnt too many times?
Yeah, basically, I think Rumour City will go bonkers for us.
Yep.
I think possibly 2 to 3, but I could possibly see some loan signings potentially coming in just to last us through till the summer. But I think you're right. It could be as much about your outgoings as well. If you're talking Tanguy, it's 10 million a year off the wage bill. So it's, if he does go on loan, do we then subsidise that like Rail did for the Bale? There's so much going on, but I'm just hoping some of these deals are already done, and the second we wake up tomorrow, you start getting some announcents. It's like,
I wouldn't get too excited.
I'm ready to tweet Spurs at 12:01 and say, have we signed anyone yet? And then at 12:02 and at 12:03.
I wouldn't put it past you, Brian. Wouldn't put it past you, Brian. When it comes to looking at this game, so we all think we're going to go with a 3-4-3, just go more attacking again, like we did against Palace. That is probably the more attacking formation, isn't it? You got to think. So, is it like when you look at Watford, and how they've done under Ranieri? Are you worried about them in terms of how they can hurt us, or especially with Sarr missing? Or do you think it doesn't really matter what Watford turn up, as long as Tottenham focus on themselves, will be all right in this game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, clearly showing on the stat, Watford are still scoring goals. They've scored 6 goals in the last 5 games, but it's their conceding. And the bottom line is we should have enough class in any 11 that we put out to be able to take this victory. So it just comes down to, for me, the attitude of the players and just going out and getting the job done. Just got to be a business-like performance. Just go get your result, move on.
And with obviously with Watford leaving the back door open, it means we've got to make sure Kane and Son and Lucas probably on top form. Kane now 3-3.
Yep.
What's your thought? Because obviously, a lot was said about Harry Kane during the beginning of the season. Since Conte's come in, I personally think there's been a big improvement in his performances, and now he's starting to score again. Do you think all the talk of him hitting and stuff, is that now gone, or do you think there's still lingering?
So it's the first of all I'll mention. First of all, get ready for a worldie from Sissoko. You just know.
Yeah,
you
know that.
You know it's coming. You know it's coming now. With Harry Kane, obviously, people will know I was very, very vocal, and especially when we were at the game of Simeon as well, when I was over here for Chelsea Villa, I was appalled by his performances. I was appalled by his attitude. I was appalled by everything. But like I said, I'm always very, very quick to criticise, but I'm also man enough to say, do you know what, there's been a change. And under Conte, there has been a substantial change. And do you know what? I obviously didn't get to go to Southampton because I wasn't feeling too well, but when I watched the highlights, the way he scored that goal that was onside, was onside, that finish was world class. The way he just put that ball down and the way he did, that was what Harry Kane does. When we went to Palace on Boxing Day, he was brilliant. And you could just see, even with that tackle against Liverpool, you can see his dedication, his commitment, his attitude, everything is even the way he's running and he's tracking back and everything is remarkably different. And apparently he's super happy now. Conte's had the word, like Mourinho did on the documentary, go, listen, you're the number one, stay. And now we've matched his ambition, which is all he wanted. Show me that you're going to match my ambition. And you can't really match more than saying, here you go, have Antonio Conte. And I will say Harry Kane right now is, I wouldn't say back to his best, but he is certainly on the way back there. He certainly is.
And do you think Man City still come back in for him?
No.
What do you think, Phil?
No, I don't. I think they'll look further afield. Unfortunately, possibly Vlahovic or Haaland, but I think Kane's staying now. And
do you reckon he'll sign a contract?
Yes.
I think within the next 3 to 6. I think before the end of the season he could, because I think his options of going anywhere else aren't really there, and then he looks around at what he's got. But for me, the best thing about Kane is the moment when he's getting in these chances now, we're confident that he's going to score. You know, Brian said that second goal that he would have stood against Southampton was just absolutely phenomenal. But it was like just control, shot, goal, brilliant. Back to the Harry Kane that we've known and loved.
Do you think if we don't get top 4 this season, though, if he hasn't signed a contract before the end of the season and we don't get top 4, do you reckon in the summer it's still play? You know, he'll have 2 years left on his contract, and if he says, "Look, we're not in Champions League. I don't know if I want to sign." Still, it'll be 3 years out of the Champions League. What do you think Tottenham do in that scenario?
If it comes to that scenario, then do you know what? He's probably had another gentleman's agreement. So we'll see if that gets on. And listen, do I think we'll get top 4? The way other teams are playing right now, it's the door's open for us. And it's for us, based on January, to really try and cement that place. I think as long as, like Poch, Larry said with Poch, as long as he's there, I go nowhere. And I think that's the same with Harry Kane and Conte. I really do, because we may not get, I still don't think we'll have a busy window. We may get 1, maybe 2, but whether they're the levels we need, that's a talking point. But if Conte says stay, listen, I guarantee you in the summer I will get this done, he stays, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to stay now as well. And I think him not getting his move in the summer, I think now that might mean actually he might stay at Tottenham for the rest of his career, actually. I think there's now a chance of that happening. Yep. Now we have Conte. I think, as I said before, I don't think Kane actually wanted to leave. I think he felt he had to leave. And that's how I felt about him in the summer, which is why, as much as he did try and force it, it was kind of a half-hearted attempt to force it. It was never like a full-on, like, because, you know, before the end of the window, he was already playing again, wasn't he? Once he realised the move probably wasn't going to happen. So as much as he did try and make the move happen, I've seen the players go a lot further than he did to try and make it happen. And I always felt like he never wanted it to come to this. It was just Tottenham weren't going the direction he wanted it. He always said as long as Tottenham were going in the right direction, he's happy to stay. And we weren't. And we weren't. Once he forced to stay, we still weren't going in the right direction. That's why his performances were indifferent. But I think now that we got Conte through the door, another player who matches his mentality, I think first of all, I can't see us selling Kane while Conte's in charge, because Conte wouldn't accept that. Conte, one of the main reasons he's here is because of Kane, you know, because we kept Kane. That's probably one of the main reasons he's here. And I also don't think Kane forces a move by any stretch of imagination while Conte's in charge, and he's going to have to do that if he wants a move. He's going to have to really force it, because Tottenham aren't going to sell cheap or even be willing to sell at all in some cases, because Levy said he wasn't for sale. So I think unless he doesn't sign a contract, I can't see him leaving anytime soon now.
If you look at it with Harry Kane, the way I've looked at it is for the entire time up until last summer, he obviously has been given targets, and he sets targets for himself, and every single year he comes through for Tottenham. 20 plus goals, 20 plus goals, 20 plus goals. Model professional up until last summer, like absolute, never in the front pages. And if it is, it's because England have done well or Spurs have done something. He's a manager's dream, and he was always hitting his targets. So then obviously he's saying match the ambition, and he was lied to. Nothing really happened. It was him carrying us. Obviously, Son came and their relationship, which is obviously, as the last few games, you can see it started to get better. Them two together again, and Kane always delivered, and Parasite didn't. So I think, like you said, he was. He didn't. I don't think he wanted to. He needed to, and as long as Conte's there, he's going to get everything he needs. He's going to get everything he needs because he knows he's got a manager that wins, and let's just hope that a certain person delivers.
Yeah, for me, I think there's a part of it last summer it was a shout to the board to come and do something here. We've got all the foundations here to be able to do something. What we just need now is some better players, a better squad, and maybe that was a shout, but obviously it didn't come out the right way. I don't think for him.
Yeah, but hopefully things have changed now. And I think his performances on the pitch are showing that things have changed with him and with the mentality of the squad. We've got some super chats to get through.
Let's do them.
Let's read them. The Truth Sets Free says, "We love you, Big Bob Spur," with a heart emoji. Big up to you, Truth Sets Free. Dark Sunji 21 says, "We'll beat Watford 5-0. We'll beat the Blues in the semi-final because they have no Mendy, Chilwell, Reece James or Silva. And 2, they have to play Liverpool while we face Watford. The Gooners will lose to City and to us." Well, that would be nice. That would be nice.
He's normally a good statistician, him. So
Dark Sanji, if that's what you say.
Taking that.
All right,
that's
all
what
right.
he said. That's gospel. So
Brilliant.
You heard it here first.
There you go. Kuva99 says, "Brian to wet shave his head as dressed like Daniel Levy to the Watford game. If you hit 100k today, I'm sticking by my suggestion."
Oh, you mean the watch along here? Yeah, no problem. No problem. No problem. I thought that was actually.
Bring your shirt. Bring your.
Okay, I think
Bring your equipment tomorrow.
So, okay, let's see. I could do.
The True Sets Free says 100 on the left butt cheek, K on the other cheek.
Yeah, there's no more tattoos. I've been told adamantly by my.
Okay, don't tattoo it. Just burn it into your skin. How about that?
Simeon, I'm not liking this side of you here. Where's this come from?
Trying to think of suggestions.
Yes,
No tattoos, no ink.
No tattoos, no ink. Nothing, like literally shaving my hair. Fine. Anything that's permanently on my body anymore. I don't want a divorce in 2022, so I'm going to refrain from those.
And Moondog says it's okay moving them on, but who would want them? I think he's talking about Delhi and Ndombele. You think there's going to be a lot of suitors for them, or not? Or like
for Delhi.
Apparently they don't want him.
No.
That's how bad
That's what I've read.
That's how bad this has become.
I did hear PSG was still interested in
Delhi.
Delhi. Poch still an admirer, but again, if you look at their front three, you're asking the question of where's he going to fit in there? Because if he can't fit in at Tottenham, it's going to be a struggle. But I think that's going to be a real challenge for us to get him out.
Can you just imagine Delhi's ego, and he's in a room with Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, Ramos, and all that? Dele Alli will get knocked out. Dele Alli will be like, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" That would be interesting.
A different player who looks set to stay is Harry Winks, who's put in 2 great performances in my book. His last 2 starts against Liverpool were now Southampton, where I thought he was the best player on the park for me. He, according to Conte, he said he's a player he now trusts and he can count on. He's another player who come in for a lot of criticism. What's your take on whether we should still be looking maybe to get him out and upgrade him, or is he now worth sticking around and having him in the squad?
For me, I think he has improved. He's probably in a system that fits with him. I think he's okay for now till you get to the summer and there are better people available. I think your likes of Kessie and stuff coming in would be an upgrade, but for January and with what he's delivering at the moment, I think he's going to stay for now.
So Harry Winks is another player that I was very quick to, again, another player that not just me, a large majority of Spurs fans were adamant that needs to go out. And the last few years he has not been good enough. But you know what? The last 2 performances, playing in the position that he prefers, he has stood out. He has stood out. When we did a show on Tottenham on Tour regarding the players with Conte and the players coming out, I said, you know what? If there's one player that will probably get the get out of jail free card and get another, it's going to be Winksy. And you cannot knock, again, I'll say again, people that are very, very quick to criticise these players, especially like when it's a Winks or a Dyer or a Sanchez or a Davies, and they're like, oh, he's crappy, get him out. Those people have also got to have the credit to say, do you know what, credit where credit's due. He deserves a bit of respect, and he's performing. And Harry Winks is performing. There is no doubt. He looks like he's got a spring in his step. He seems happier, and he's been given the opportunity, and he's taken it. And fair play to him. And right now, I wouldn't sell him for anything.
For anything?
For anything. Right now,
100 million?
Oh, look. I'm not liking this side of it. But obviously, when I say that, obviously, if 100 million comes in, you're selling. But I mean, out of all those players right now, he has definitely warranted his place.
And everyone says, we need a more creative player. And I still agree with that. But, some of his passes, especially against in the last couple of games, have really opened up defences. And, against Southampton for the goal, which was ruled out, what a peach of a ball over the top to Harry Kane.
Yep.
And he was the only one, it seemed, who was able to play a pass which was causing havoc in the Southampton defence and Liverpool as well in the back line. So maybe he's getting that passing range back, because he used to be a very decent passer, but he never used to do passes that really hurt the opposition.
Yep.
But now he's maybe now Conte's coming in. He's maybe not showing him, but he's trying to get him to pass in those directions a bit more. And maybe that's what's needed for him to take his game to another level.
Without that, I mean, John Cooper used to call him, and I loved it, SpongeBob SquarePass.
Yeah.
I used to call him Sat-Nav, because he'd reach 10 yards and it goes, you'd reach your destination, and he would just pass it sideways. And he was known for not going forward, and he did have that, like we've seen it in the games with Madrid and at Barcelona in the Champions League runs, that he can do it. And so even when I was doing the watch along here on the Vitesse game when he started, and he came on, and people were like, oh my God, Harry Winks is running forward. Oh my God, he's passed. It was like a major thing, and he is capable of it. I just think his confidence had been lacking, and as Stel said, he's been playing in the wrong position, and now he's playing in the position he can play. We're seeing what he can do. So for me, like I said, his passes have been incredible.
For me, I just can't believe we're sat here talking about Harry Winks being our kind of creative midfielder when you've got Ndombele, Lo Celso sat on the bench, and we're like, well, Harry Winks, he's the man, and you're like, really? But at the moment he's delivering, and that's all you can ask. However he's got there, whatever Conte's done with him is at the moment is working wonders.
Another super chat from Moondog says, Winks 2 good games. What about the other 60 odd games he's been crap? Look, it's true. For the past couple years, let's be honest, he's not been very good. He's kind of not been playing with the confidence that we know but I think Winks is very much a bit like Bergwijn. When he's confident, he's a different player. When he's playing within himself, he's very much, he gets the ball safety first, backward, sideways, as you say. But when he's confident, he takes the ball in his stride. He can dribble forward. He looks for that forward pass. And I think Conte has given Winks that confidence maybe to bring those elements back into his game. So, yeah, he has been poor for the last 60 games. But at least in these last 2, which he's showing us what level of performance he is capable of if you give him confidence.
He was in the last chance saloon, as we were saying. And you look at someone like Dele, who came on, and Liverpool immediately, because he had one good game, he's back. And then obviously he reverted to type against Southampton. And then you look at Harry Winks, he's had 2 opportunities under the Conte regime, and obviously the couple of substitute appearances, but the 2 starts he's had, he's turned in arguably man of the match performances. So it's not just, he's had a good game, he has had a major impact in these games. So that's where I say that obviously, yes, it's only 2 games, like Moondog said, out of 60, but 2 pretty much man of the match performances from being non-existent is a very good way to start.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Conte did a press conference yesterday. So I actually did it a day early. He usually does it on a Friday. But let's listen to what he had to say. And we'll get up and then we'll react to some of the stuff, because I thought he had some interesting snippets yesterday.
Listen to it.
All right, well, let's get up.
The premiere for me.
Here we go. Premiere in Conte's press. Let's get it up and.
Good morning. Good morning, Antonio. Thanks for your time. Could we get the latest these days? It's injury news and COVID news affecting the squad, please?
In this moment, no news. Also because yesterday we had a day off, and Romero is injured, and Sessegnon is injured. No news at the moment.
So just to clarify on that, the COVID outbreak, have you got all the players back now and no new cases so far?
No, and we don't have new cases of COVID, and no, all the players are back in training.
And there was a meeting yesterday on this issue, on player welfare, on the fixture congestion, about 5 subs as well. Just generally with the Premier League, were you at that meeting, and what was discussed, and how do you feel about the pressure on players in this period?
If I have to be honest, I think that it was a meeting that yeah, we tried to speak, and some coaches try to speak and to ask about solution, but I think that everything was decided, and I think yesterday, and it was a wall, and for this reason also I prefer to don't go into the discussion, the conversation.
It's a waste of time.
I think so.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
But I, as I said to you before, because when you have a wall in front of you, and you can speak, you can ask what you want, but everything was every decision was taken.
Thanks, Gary. Pete Colley, please.
Hiya, Antonio. Have you done anything different this week to keep the spirits high amongst your players? How have you kept people happy?
But for sure, this Christmas period is a period that
What's up, everyone? Apologies about that technical hiccup. We did play the wrong press conference just now, but we are getting the right one readied for you, so you can watch exactly what Conte had to say yesterday and not a few days ago. So should we get that up? All right,
Yeah, you said about a month ago that you need an extra month to evaluate your players.
yeah.
I just wondered whether you've completed that process now.
Yeah, I think so. No, I think, but I'm sure 100%. And I made evaluation after 2 months. After 2 months of work with my players, and for sure now the situation is more clear than before.
And what happens now? Will you sit down and have a meeting with I presume Fabio Paratici and Daniel Levy? And are there certain? I mean, are you going to ask for certain players in the transfer window, or certain players that maybe can leave Tottenham?
But I'm waiting to have a meeting with the club, and then also to give my opinion about the squad and what I think about our situation, and for sure I'm waiting for a meeting.
Excellent. I was going to ask, just
Thank
very.
you.
Right, next we'll go to Anne-Marie Batson. Anne-Marie?
Hello, Antonio. How do you expect your players to respond against Watford, and what do you hope that they will deliver for 2022?
My expectation, and this is the first game of the new year, but my expectations are always the same, and to play a really good game and to try to get 3 points, and it won't be easy, because Watford will want to do the same, and but we have to think to ourselves to try to continue to improve game by game, and to be better in many aspects that we are working.
How significant is this game against Watford, given that Tottenham are 1 point behind West Ham, inching closer to the top 4, and there's the London derby to come against Arsenal?
But the most important thing for us are the 3 points, to get 3 points, and this is the most important thing. Then to think too much what happened, I think is not good for us. We have to go step by step, game by game, and we have to know that we need to improve in many aspects if we want to be competitive. In this moment, we have a long distance from the top 4.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. Next, we'll go to George Cummins.
Thanks, Callum. Antonio, hello. I just wondered if I could get some team news, please. And will you start Harry Kane again against Watford?
Yeah, but Harry is in a good form, and you can see that he's playing very well. But he's available and to play against Watford. Also because we had 3 days and 4 days after the last game against Southampton, and for this reason there is all the time to recover, to rest, to have a training session, and to be ready to play against Watford.
And which team are currently the favourites to finish in the top 4 at the minute? Would that be Arsenal? Would that be you? Would it be Man United or West Ham? Which team do you think are the favourites to finish 4th?
I don't know which is the favourite, and for sure on the paper there are 4 teams very strong with a good squad, with important squad, and 2 City, United, and Chelsea, and Liverpool. I think these are 4 top teams that they have to fail to find a place in Champions League, and you have to be very, very good, because also there is Arsenal, there is West Ham, there is other strong team, Leicester, Everton, the same, and many good teams. And you have to hope to fail the other and you to be good and to overperform 200%.
Thanks, George. Jamie Way will come to you next.
Thanks, Callum. Good afternoon, Antonio. My question is a kind of follow-up to Alistair's question at the start. After the game in Slovenia, you said the level wasn't so high at Tottenham. Now that you have assessed the squad better, do you think you need to add players in January to challenge for the top four?
But for sure, and after only 2 weeks, I say that we needed to improve the quality of the squad, and for sure we need to improve the quality of the squad. And I was sure after 7 days, 10 days, 2 weeks about this, and then I make the evaluation to understand who is the players that I can count and the players that I can count. But for sure, and the squad needs to improve the quality, but in an important way, before to think something of different plays in a UEFA or in Conference League, because this league is the level is very high, and now you are in the middle. You are in the middle, and you have to think to build something important. For this reason, I said, and I asked to patience and time, because in this moment the gap is very large, and we need to work a lot, and also to try to build and to improve also the quality of the squad.
And just secondly from me, there's been some strange officiating decisions over the Christmas period. Tottenham suffered a couple, Chelsea last night had a couple of strange decisions. Do you think the standard of officiating in English football is poor and needs to get better?
But for sure in England and the referee with the less than Italy, for example, and in one side, on the other side, I think during the game they are good, because sometimes there are mistakes in one side or the other side, and it doesn't care. I think that they have pay more attention with the VAR, because if you have a monitor, if you have a monitor to see the situation, and then you can make mistakes. In this is very difficult, but I say this also in Italy. And now, if you have the VAR and you have a monitor to see very well what happened, and then it's very difficult to accept mistakes under this aspect. Then as I said, after the game against Southampton, we have to have faith in referee. We have to have faith in a VAR, but it's easier to accept a mistake of the referee than the VAR.
Thanks, Jamie. Next, we'll go to Dan Kilpatrick.
Hi, Antonio. I just wondered if I could ask about Tanguy and Ndombele and what role you see for Tanguy in your squad.
But Tanganga...
Sorry, Ndombele, not Tanganga. Tanguy.
Tanguy, Ndombele. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but he's a midfielder, and I think he's a midfielder. Yeah.
When you spoke about him a month ago or so, Antonio, you said he needs to be more of a team player. Do you feel that he's starting to understand that better now?
But I pay the same attention for every my player, and in every single session I pay great attention every single player, and I don't. My concentration is not only for 12, 13, or 14 players for the whole squad. And then there are players that understand before, players that they understand very well, other players that they need more time, or could be difficult to understand some situations.
Thank you, Dan. Next, we'll go to Jonathan Veal.
Hi, Antonio. In 2 days, Hugo Lloris can talk to foreign clubs about signing a contract with them. I was wondering if you could tell us if you expect him to sign a new contract with Tottenham, and when, if that might be close.
I didn't understand very well. Yeah, can you repeat? Sorry, the question.
In 2 days, Hugo Lloris can talk to other clubs about joining them at the end of his contract. I was wondering whether he's been offered a new contract with Tottenham and whether you would like him to stay.
But he's talking about me?
About Hugo Lloris.
Eh?
Hugo Lloris.
Hugo Lloris. Yeah, but sorry, but I didn't understand the subject. Hugo is a player, is a Tottenham player, is the captain, and for sure he'll speak, he'll talk with the club, and to try to find a solution.
Are you confident?
Jonathan.
Are you confident that will happen? Do you think Hugo wants to stay?
I think so. And I think Hugo want to stay in this club. He loves this club, and he stays well in Tottenham. And I think this could be his opinion.
Thanks, Johnny. We'll take one from Jack Pickbrook, and then we'll finish for this section with Francesco. So Jack Pickbrook.
Hi, Antonio. Last summer, Ndombele wanted to leave Tottenham. Is there a chance that he will leave in the January transfer window?
But I repeat before to speak about transfer market, about this topic. I think that it's better for me and the club to speak together, and then we will have the situation more clear than now. Now to speak about player that they can come to go, I think is not right, and is not honest.
One midfielder who is playing well now is Harry Winks. Is he unique in your team in his ability to play those clever forward passes?
But Winks is playing well, and Winks showed to be a reliable player, and for this reason, Winks will stay here. And I'm finding player that they are reliable, and I count on them. And Winks is showing me that I can count about him.
Thank you, Jack. Francesco, we'll finish this section with a question from you.
Buon pomeriggio, mister. Faccio domande in italiano,
ciao,
chiedo risposte in italiano. Buongiorno. Sulla sfida di domani contro il Watford di Claudio Ranieri, che è un allenatore che lei conosce bene, l'ultima volta vi siete sfidati in Italia. Siete gli ultimi due allenatori manager ad aver vinto la Premier, lui con l'Leicester, lei con gli italiani, lui con l'Leicester, lei col Chelsea. Questa sfida anche da un punto di vista tattico fra due, insomma, che lavorano tanto da questo punto di vista. Grazie.
Sì, innanzitutto c'è grandissima stima nei confronti dell'uomo, nei confronti di Claudio, una persona top. C'è anche amicizia e stima reciproca al di fuori del campo con le famiglie, quindi penso che lui abbia fatto qualcosa di straordinario vincendo con il Leicester, e dimostrando a tutti che tipo di allenatore è. In Italia ha allenato le squadre top, no? Tranne il Milan ha allenato tutte le squadre top. Questo fa capire che tipo di allenatore, di esperienza e di carisma, che comunque ha sempre voglia di mettersi, di misurarsi, no? Questa sfida che adesso ha accettato di tornare in Inghilterra ne dimostra, quindi grandissima stima, grandissimo rispetto. Incrocio le dita perché l'ultima partita lui mi ha battuto, no? Diciamo l'anno scorso all'andata mi ha battuto, al ritorno ho vinto io, quindi diciamo che siamo in pari a livello di sfide dell'anno scorso, però ecco ci sarà sicuramente grande affetto, mi farà piacere vederlo, salutarlo e poi magari potremmo anche organizzare qualcosa dopo la partita nei giorni a seguire per vederci con le famiglie.
All right, well, that was everything Antonio Conte had to say at his press conference as of yesterday. Quite a few interesting answers, especially when it came to individuals such as Ndombele and Winks, and also when talking about the January transfer window and how much quality needs to improve in this squad before we can think about competing for the Champions League. When he said, he said he made his evaluations 100%, and he said he knew after a week that the quality needed improving in this squad. Where do you think you see the quality, him identifying where the quality needs improving in this squad specifically?
So I've looked at it and the way, and when I was with Ben last week, apparently he identified a centre back and a right wing back as like the main ones. The way I've been looking at it is, I think yes, they need upgrading, but I think we have enough cover in those areas to get us over the line. What I think we do need is competition for Kane and Eriksson-esque type player, because we have neither of them. But it's hard to distinguish what he wants. I mean, after the Mura game, when he was, obviously those comments came out, we all started to get a bit scared. He probably wanted wholesale changes, but right now I think he's completely lost faith in Doherty now. I think we all know that he hasn't been good, and that's a done deal, or one he wants to replace and give competition for Emerson. Centre back, they keep saying it. Yes, we need an upgrade, but I think they've done enough to stay till the summer and really go for a huge target in January, the summer. But I can see the right wing. I can see right wing back, creative midfielder, and striker being the main aims.
Well, the thing with the centre back is they're doing well at the moment. Dyer, Davis, and Sanchez, and we've got obviously Romero coming back from injury. But what do we do if Davis gets an injury? We're nothing. There's nothing. If Dyer gets an extended injury, we're going to have to rely on Joe Rodon to play.
Yeah.
So I think centre-back is a big priority for me in this window. And also, as much as Dyer and Davis are doing well, they're definitely upgradable, aren't they?
Oh,
so,
everyone's upgradable. Upgradable. What I would say, I think with the centre-back, I would kind of see. You remember when we got Reguilon? And it was like, we're not having a left-back, we're not having a left-back, we're not having a left-back.
Yeah, then we got
Reguilon became available, and apparently we identified that is the one we go for now. For instance, I'm just going to drop the name because I love him and I think he'd be great again under Conte, Skriniar. If we had it that Skriniar was the centre-back, he was the centre-back and he became available, then 100 billion% you go and get him if he becomes available. But that's how I would see the centre-back. Because like I said, you've still got Tanganga. You've still got, okay, he's not playing at the moment, Rodon. And when Romero's back, there is a large amount of defenders there. Yes, they can all be upgraded apart from Romero. But I think there's enough depth in there.
Is there enough to get top four?
Well, it depends. If we get the striker, and we get the right winger or right back, then yes. Yes, I think there is.
You think? What do you think? Is centre backs at the moment they're enough to get top four?
For me, no. I think if you put the three starting centre backs for tomorrow on the market, I don't think any of your top 4 or 5 clubs in the UK come in for them, and that for me speaks volumes. I think they're good enough at the moment, but it's a challenge. But you're right. And any injury to any of those, and you're proper looking over your shoulder, I think.
Where would your priorities lie in January?
Definitely a centre back, right wing back, but we need someone to play alongside Kane or to be able to relieve some of that burden for Kane, because he's just carried it for so many years. If he gets injured now, as January comes along, it's like I don't know where the goals are coming from.
I agree, and apparently when it comes to right wing back, I heard rumours that Tottenham are looking at Lamptey from Brighton, who would be a very good option.
All day.
all day long.
But apparently the sticking point could as always be.
Let me guess. Let me guess.
Let me
price.
guess
What the price? Is it really the price?
When it comes to a striker, obviously there's always talk about us needing another striker and getting another striker in who can not just one who's back up to Kane, but who can compete with Kane. The problem is, say we do bring in a Vlahovic, how do you fit both Kane and Vlahovic in the team and Son when you got Son there as well? Because when you're playing the two up top, if you're playing both Son and Kane centrally, where does the new striker fit in? Does he play with Kane, or is it just back up to Kane? If you're playing the 3-4-3, you can fit Son on the left, but there's only one striker there. But then if you're playing Kane and the other striker in a 2, where does Son fit in? So it's difficult to fit a new striker, Kane and Son in, isn't it?
Yeah, I think if you got somebody of the quality of Vlahovic, I think he would start up front.
Instead of who?
I think instead of Mora, and then Son would have, I don't know whether you give him a free role or whether he kind of sits in a 10, or whether you drop Kane and put Kane as a 10. I just think for the quality of the three of them, they're going to make the team better. So it's got to be an option.
Mm. So with me, listen, that's the manager's job. To have these really hard problems to try and find solutions for, which he finds always. And that's what the manager, he should have. How do I get these players into the team? How do I do it? You can also have, if you do it, you can have Vlahovic. Let's say it is Vlahovic, because we know a large group of Arsenal supporters are saying, like myself, it's not a striker we need, it's Dusan Vlahovic. That is the name that is on the tip of everyone's tongue, and that's the number one, the numero uno target. And with him, you can then have Kane drop into a Sheringham role. You can, like we said, when Kane needs a rest, and not just a rest because we've got to have that option. Like when you and me, when we were at Crystal Palace and saw him coming off in the 60th minute, it was like, oh my God, this is so refreshing. This is brilliant to see. He's getting a rest that he needs. We need to stop being over-reliant on him and allow him to have a rest, allow him to recuperate, allow him not to pick up a stupid injury, and have a world-class cover, or not cover, competition for him. Not a Janssen, not an Orente, a significant striker that will impact the team just as much when Kane's out. And it just gives other options. Can you imagine, let's say he was here already and we were a couple of goals down to Chelsea and it was the second leg of White Hart Lane, and you have all three of them and Mora on the pitch. You find a way to do it. Not saying it will generally just click immediately, but that's a very, very potent attacking threat. And right now, people are like, right, Kane's off, Son's going to score, maybe Mora, but that's it. And we need someone to say, okay, Kane's off, Vlahovic is there, goals are coming. So that.
The other one is like, you take a game like Watford, when you think, when you're thinking ahead to Chelsea, you're thinking Vlahovic could start and you leave Kane on the bench. You don't need to risk him in every game, whereas at the moment, he has no alternative. It's Kane every game.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do wonder whether we will stump up that kind of money for Vlahovic in January, 70-odd million. It's going to be very difficult to sell, I think.
Where I look at it, I don't care if we have to pay 70 and he comes in the summer. If he comes in, listen, it's one thing I will say with January, obviously, it is a harder window, and obviously when you've got teams that are maybe vying for Europe or the Champions League or the Championship or even relegation, it's very, very hard to get these players out of the club. We've done it with Denny and a few players where they've been on loan till the end of the season. If we get that deal over the line, then obviously it's something to build on. I know he's coming. We were just talking in the during the press conference. Celtic have announced 3 players today. Barcelona have announced Ferran Torres. These deals should be ready for us because we need to impact fast. We don't need, right now, we know the months we got 2 against Chelsea in the Cup, the League, the Filth, the FA Cup. We need these players in pronto, not, okay, we're in negotiations, let's let this go for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then at the end either they sign right before the end or, yeah, we tried and it didn't happen. We need to show intent. More we say this every single year and every single window. This window we have to show intent, but we have to, because right now we need to correct the wrongs that have been done from years of mismanagement and lack of investment on the pitch. And this window really is going to be very, very telling for us and where we're going forward, and we need to get these deals over the line quick.
Yeah, I can't see them being in place. Any signing being in place for the Chelsea and Arsenal.
Well, I'm
games,
here
to
for
be
an
honest.
extra 10 days, so I've said if he's not signed by the original, if no one has signed of significance by the time that I was meant to fly back on the 13th, on the 14th, I will be outside the training ground.
I think that's where you might be then. I've got a
Yep,
feeling.
I'm just hoping it's not pouring down with rain or snowing or whatever. Or snow I can deal with now from where I live. But yeah, I will be there. Whether people want to join me or not, that's up to them. But if it's not done by the 14th, I will be daily at the training ground.
Super chat from the True Sets Free says Elon Musk has found Doherty's shot on Mars. I'm guessing that's one of his volleys. And another one, and
Southampton, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the True Sets Free says nice 3-1 draw to start our week. Kane onside Avatar. I'm not quite sure what that means. All right, Ben, and also Ben Kaufman has been a member for 6 months. Big up Ben Kaufman. Cheers for being a member. Let's start taking some callers and seeing what fans have got to say. First off, hold on a sec, just untangle these headphones before we go anywhere.
Someone that I've been dying to speak to for a little while. I've never actually been on the screen with him before, so I'm looking forward to this.
Let's talk to Ariane first. Let's get him on.
Have we never been on the screen before together, Brian?
No, I don't think. Well, obviously, I've been on the same stream as you, but I don't think I've been in the studio when you. Did you come on during the whole Nuno sacking and Conte coming in?
Must have.
No, I don't think I did. I don't think I did.
No, mate. This is the first time, brother.
Wow. Okay, wow. Well, great. We can talk for once. Yeah, I'm never on for these. It's like 4 in the morning right now, so I rarely, I rarely get the time to get here.
What's keeping you awake then? What are you on? You got like Red Bull or something?
No, I haven't even had anything like that today. I haven't even had any tea today, which normally keeps me up, but I'm just up.
Fair enough.
Well, Aaron's doing a stupid bet with me. He's not going to sleep till you hit 100k.
Is that how it's going?
That's his pledge.
He's got. I think he's got a Ben Davis just like individual highlights compilation, just replaying.
Oh man, it's so long, so I gotta get through it.
Exactly. Keep me awake at night as well.
Man.
What are you thinking about? New Year's Day, we've got Watford away. How are you feeling about the game? Watford very much a team which you can never really predict what Watford are going to turn up, but they're very much a side that leave the back door open, aren't they?
They've had 2 wins in the last 12 games, which is terrible for them. So, I mean, you say you can't predict them, which is true. I mean, I think their wins were like 5-2 and 4-1.
They beat United 4-1, so yeah, you never know, do you?
So yeah, you do never really know. And I think the last time we played them away was Jedson Fernandez's first game, 0-0. Which because they got relegated, so that's why we haven't played them in a minute. I mean, look, with the way we're solid, even though they do look pretty dangerous. I think even in the games in most of the games that they've played, even though they haven't won very many, they score a lot. That Dennis is an unbelievable striker, so we've got to watch out for him. And other than that, though, they really don't have a lot of going forward. They're pretty strong, but because of we're so good at scoring right now, and they're not very good at defending. So this is like written in the stars for us at this point. Like there's very few ways I can see Watford getting a lot of this game as defensively. Like how are you going to keep Son and Kane, probably more to quiet, who've all been flying? Yeah. Against maybe not against Southampton because they had like 40 hours of rest. So it is what it is on that. We had like Dele in the middle for half that game, so they couldn't really get a lot. But in general, we just look so dangerous when we're in our zone. So I can't see Watford getting much here. I really can't. It doesn't there's just few ways unless we just don't turn up. Unless we really just come out there flat. We don't look like we have a lot of energy, which and in the January transfer window is first day tomorrow, so that's the worst time to start outperforming because maybe would leave you at the helm. It's not so bad because you're not going to get your replacement bought right away, but it's pretty bad. And under Conte, I doubt the players still have the balls to start to underperform under him so far. So
I think you're right about that. One of the signings Ali Gold said is a priority is competition at left centre back for Ben Davies. Does that make making you feel a bit insecure potentially about things?
Yes,
or
actually, when I saw the De Vrij links, I got really excited at first. I was like, "Oh, Stefan De Vrij, I've wanted this guy forever," and then I saw for left centre back. I was like, "Ah, shit." So that, you know, it was a little bit of a kick in the teeth when I saw that. But like at the end of the day, as much as I love Davis, and this is proof here. I wear 33, by the way. I'm wearing my school jersey there. Yeah. You know, as much as I love Davis, it is what it is. If Conte thinks he's the one who needs replacing, then whatever. Whoever it was that said one time, I'll never forget it. It's one of my favorite quotes I've ever heard on this show. If Davis says that if Conte says that I need to get in the deepest, darkest spot in the Amazon to win a game, then I'm going there straight away. Like if Conte says it goes. So if he wants him, then sure. But yes, it's going to be a little bit painful when I see Davis exit that regular 11.
Arian, I'm exactly the same. Listen, everyone knows I'm a huge Højbjerg fan. Huge. He's my favourite player on the current squad. But as I said, when it comes to it, we've got to stop as Spurs fans living on sentiment and going, "Oh, he's been a good player. Oh, he's my favourite player. Oh, he's this." If you can get an upgrade for a player, it doesn't matter. You get the upgrade in. You get the upgrade in. Listen, Ben Davies has been great. There's no denying it. I'll actually say so. When we first signed him, I mean, when we very, very first signed him, I actually thought he was a billion times better than Danny Rose. I was getting, because Danny Rose, before Poch really got hold of him, was always out of position, always so far forward. But he worked on him and proved me wrong. But Ben Davies, I thought it was an absolutely incredible signing when we first got him. And then obviously he started off in that last season at the Lane. He had a great season. Then he dropped, but he's come back and done well. But yeah, when you get these players and you can get an upgrade, sentiment means nothing anymore, Ariel, I'm afraid, mate. If a better Højbjerg comes in, then a better Højbjerg comes in. As much as I won't like it, it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's basically the thing. So if we can get him, like, Stefan De Vrij is an unbelievable defender. Like, even when we're linked with Skriniar, I said, I even was like saying, why get Skriniar? I always thought De Vrij has been, and it's probably because of his age. He's a little bit older than Skriniar too. I think he's a little bit more of a complete defender than Skriniar. Sorry, it's 4 a.m. I'm stuttering a lot. So then Skriniar is. So I've rated the guy a lot for many years. I really do like him. So if we do get him, even if it is for Davis, then sure. And just I was trying to get it off the wall there. I've got a picture of Davis. I mean, it's a few other players as well, but there's a picture of Davis on this wall. I was gonna pull it and show you guys how much I love this guy. But even if we have to get an upgrade for him, I'll take it, man. It's we rarely get good January signings as well. So, we get a 50 million big baller defender. In fact, you guys were talking about like the Kane contract. I'm saying I would not be surprised if that was our deadline day signing, man. I swear to God. Kane's contract extension is going to be our deadline day signing. Swear to God, right? I would not be surprised. That's Hugo Lloris and Harry Kane sign contract on deadline day after we get one loan signing through in the window. Swear.
Thanks for putting that thought in my head, Arian. That's just the fuel that I need. Just the fuel I need.
Don't get him going, Arian. Come on.
Hey, it's the first call. I've got to take advantage. I don't know when I'm going to see him again.
Arian, what's Conte said in his presser that he's 100% made evaluations of his squad and he's going to have a meeting with the board to tell them what he wants and who we can count on. He's already said some people like Winks he thinks are staying. He was being very cagey on Ndombele. Who do you think? Where do you think he's going to target in this January as priorities?
Okay. I know who I know. Okay, I feel like everybody knows the few players he wants to go of. Ndombele, Doherty, Dele, everybody knows. But it's the incomings because if we get rid of Ndombele and Dele and maybe even a Lo Celso, we're gonna be so dry in midfield. Like we're gonna need someone. But the question is who, and there's how many options are available. We're gonna freaking recall that loan signing we made in summer with Sarr, was his name. What are we gonna do? So that's gonna be a tricky one, and obviously we need this left center back. There's been a lot of links to a right wing back. We have all this Vlahovic saga that's going around. This Adama Traore saga that's going on. So there's a lot of links, and some of them are actually by pretty reliable journalists. So I mean. It's tricky because like it's January, like it's such a volatile window. You have no idea what's gonna happen. Like even as much as I like to dunk on Levy, if we end up getting a contract extension as our like signing, like it's not even gonna be 100% his fault because it's such a volatile window and so much is changing and so many clubs don't want to sell mid-season without a replacement. It's so tricky. I do it like, there's probably a few positions we want to upgrade on the right, in the center, and the center back, but. Or how are we really going to be able to get all of it? It's going to be like tough because like what targets do we even really see? Like for right wing back, what good right wing backs are in the market right now? Like what seriously decent right wing backs could we get? That like other than your Hakimis and your Alexander Arnolds and your Reece Jameses, like these are world class players. Who's gonna leave a club that because all the good right wing backs are all incredible clubs. You got like all the English right backs. Freaking Hakimi.
Would you take Trippier back?
I'd take Trippier back in a heartbeat. Of course I would, but apparently Newcastle have a lock on him, right? Or like a intensifying to go. I don't even know if he wants to come back because he dissed the club after when he left. So if he comes back, then sure. But I don't know. I take him though. If we got a serious link to him, I'd take him because he was a good player out here.
You're not the only one. Reds from Shelfside Spurs really wants Trippier back. Do you know what? I think the one thing we're missing with him is pace. That's the one thing. And you look at Conte's fullbacks, he normally has them with pace or a complete athlete. He obviously sorts out set pieces or free kicks or whatever. And you got to remember, yes, he slayed us when he left. When he came back from the World Cup, he played that whole season with an injury where he should have had surgery, but they were having the injections to match him. I would take him back, but it wouldn't be top of my list in that position. When you mentioned Lamptey, but listen, we couldn't even get Potter out of the club because Brighton were like, no, you're not having him. So I think for Lamptey, we'd have to go above and beyond. And as we know, that might not happen. But Arian's right with right backs. It's a very, very sacred position at the moment, isn't it? I mean,
very tough.
Like you said, the big hitters are all at super clubs. And it does look like you'd have to invest in another young prospect coming through.
When you mentioned Lamptey there, because I actually forgot we had links to him. So like Lamptey, actually, I would take. He has like a bit of an injury problem though, but he's been playing alright, and he had that horror tackle by Rudiger, which should have been a red hit at him like was it yesterday?
Yeah, Chelsea, yeah.
Yeah. So and he survived that. So good enough in my books. So I take him, and who else I take from Brighton if we're selling Ndombele and Dele? I take Basuma. I love that player so, dude. Yves Basuma. In January, it's probably not going to happen considering it's a January window. But like in the summer, Yves Basuma, I would say I would put him on the same level as a player like Kessié, because he is so good at what he does. He's him next to Skip would be an unbelievable midfield. Would be an unbelievable midfield too. Him next to Skip, you have Winks who could come on anytime. Maybe you can have them all at the same time in the 3-5-2. It would be an unbelievable. I'm half asleep right now. I'm dreaming thinking about it.
Yeah, I think you're gonna watch the Bissouma wonder goals and wonder tackles on YouTube to keep you up again.
Oh yeah, I've got plenty to watch then.
And then in terms of like, there's obviously links. We want to sign another striker. If we do sign a striker who's able not just to be backup for Kane, but actually compete with Kane. Is there a situation or a formation you see both him and Kane playing together? Because how would you fit a new striker in Kane and Son into one formation?
This is so it's such a bad situation we're in, because when you have a player like Son and Kane, it's like, and Son is such a weird player because he's like an inverted forward. He's not even like a winger where you can just stick him on the wing and call it a day. So in a 3-5-2, you can't what are you gonna do? Take Reguilon off for Son? So you'd have to play like a 3-5-2, and play I wouldn't even say Son as I put Kane as like a center forward kind of player. That's like all that makes sense to me. But is it worth it? Because then who are you taking off? You're taking off Lucas, and then you have like Skip and Højbjerg and Bond. Yeah, it could work. It could work, but it's like, is it worth all that trouble? But and at the same time, it's like, do you rotate the strikers? You bench Kane and then bench, let's say we get Vlahovic. Do you bench Kane and Vlahovic alternating games? I mean, we'd be deadly, but does Kane want that? Does Vlahovic want that? I doubt it. So this is why it's so tricky to get a striker, because we either get your Vincent Janssen's and your Vinicius's, or we get nobody. Because if we get a world-class player, then we have to bench a world-class player every game, which is the same thing as having a shitty player on the bench. So, like, it's such a bad situation we're in with the type of players that we have, because the profile of players we have and the system we're playing is, like, literally the worst situation to be in when you need a striker.
Yeah, exactly.
And how desperately we need one, and how badly they don't fit in our system is like it's like why do you even want one at that point? But like, we need one. It's such a shit situation to be in. Like, I have no idea how we got ourselves into such an ass position.
Only Tottenham, I guess.
Only Tottenham. Like, imagine how bad it is that you need a striker and they have to be good and you can't even use them properly. Like, that's like, doesn't even make sense, man.
I know what you mean. That's a good point. In terms of our squad, first of all, if we sign no players, is it good enough to get top 4? And if the answer is no, what minimum do we need to be serious about getting top 4 by the end of the season?
Okay, so the top 3, I feel like, top 2 are guaranteed. 3 is probably going to Chelsea. Who's battling for 4th? You have, West Ham. I want to check the table because I will not say Arsenal.
West Ham and Man United.
Man United. Yeah, and I'm not going to say. I will not say Arsenal because I still don't think they're in it. So, you have those 2, and their squads. I mean, Man United's squad's all right, but their form is absolutely dreadful. So is our squad in our current form probably good enough? Like, maybe, like, it's like there where I feel like it's just enough, but it's not comfortable, and especially with the fact that we're doing pretty well and Romero's out, Sessegnon's out, and all these players. I think if they're back in and they can stay healthy, then yes. But because of these uncertainties and the fact that, United can turn on any moment because they have a good squad. If Ragnick finds the formula, then they can be deadly really quickly. So because of that, then, I think we still need more to really kind of secure our spot and at least get a lead over Man United before they probably even inevitably have a good run of form. Because with Ronaldo and Ragnick finding a good run of form, United are going to have a good run of form eventually. That's just them. So it's going to happen. So we need to probably build some kind of lead before that happens. Hopefully, if we get some reinforcements in January and all that, then yeah, hopefully. But right now, if we get nobody in January, is it the end of the world? Is top 4 over? Probably not. But it would be so much better if we get somebody. And and if Levy's watching this, then if we don't get a signing in January, top 4 is finished. But
exactly.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, Ariane. All right.
Okay.
Ariane, always good to speak to you, my friend. Go get some sleep. And
I will try.
Happy New Year, Ariane, brother.
Have a good hair.
Happy New Year to you. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot saying that. Happy New Year, everybody. Okay.
Any New Year's resolutions?
My New Year's resolutions. Ooh, that's good. I have, I really didn't think about that. I should have thought about that before I got on. Honest, I don't have some, but I'll get back to you after we win against Watford.
Maybe
okay?
It's to find a New Year's resolution. It's your New Year's
Maybe that's I'll get back to you on that when we win. When we come back on a 3-0 win against Watford.
All right.
Or it's to stay up until 4 a.m. for every Good Morning Tottenham.
Get on to more Good Morning Tottenham. How about that?
I would if. Well, the reason is normally they're on school nights. Like they're like Sunday night. What am I supposed to do? Stay up 4 a.m. when I have school in 2 hours? Heck no.
That's dedication, Aria. That's dedication.
Nice one,
Yeah, man. All right. Love you guys. And I would yell, but come on, you Spurs.
See you later, buddy.
Big up, Ariane. Let's get another call. Let's get Mikey on. Is he ready? He's ready this time.
I'm ready this time.
He's ready.
Guys.
He's sorted. How are we doing, Mikey?
I'm all good, yeah. Sorry I wasn't on for the post-match show and the review of the Southampton game, but I was travelling when the match review was on, and then I couldn't be asked to bring myself on after the shit show that I watched. I was very incensed, to say the least, and I also lost my voice from screaming at the television, so I couldn't
Don't blame you. You know, we've got Watford on New Year's Day, though. Are we going to put things right in that game? How badly do we need a victory for you?
Well,
How
again,
important
this is it. It's all about how we bounce back. We suffered a defeat to NS Mura, and we bounced back by going unbeaten since then. So that's a good record to have. I know it was only a draw, but it was a stale performance because if we don't have our main starting 11, our depth isn't good enough. That's what you saw when we had to bring in the likes of Delhi, and Reguilon had to play because Cesc was injured. We had Harvey White on the bench, who's like a CDM turned left back. So I know that we have a good depth in at least every position, but when I say depth, I mean we have more than one player in a position. Doesn't necessarily mean they're good players. You know, we saw with Delhi that me and my dad were watching on Amazon Prime the Southampton game, and we just kept saying Delhi was losing the ball 4, 5, 6 times in a period of about 10 minutes. I think his ball retention was horrible. His passes were lethargic. He kept going backwards. And that's when we kind of brought on Lucas Moura, you could just tell that he was exhausted. He wasn't running. He was sort of sitting back trying to penetrate the Southampton defence, and we just couldn't break through. So I think if we bounce back against Watford with a win, I know Watford is a very favourable game to have. As Arian said, they got 2 wins in their last 12. I still think that it's a favourable game to have after such a lethargic performance. But I think playing twice in 2 days probably had more than a bit to do with how we played against Southampton, because I think 6 or 7 of the starting 11 was the same that started the game on Boxing Day. So, yeah, I think this rest is key for them. But obviously staying up late tonight to watch the New Year's celebration, so maybe that goes out the window. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the Watford game, when you look at Watford, they've lost 2. They've only won 2 of the last 12, losing every game. But the 2 wins were 5-2 against Everton and a 4-1 against Man United. So they do have a tendency just to turn up when you least expect it. But what's your feeling going into it?
Well, I think everyone expected them to turn up against Man United. I mean, at the time they were horrible, and Rafa's Everton aren't anything to shout about. But I think it's not open and shut, because for some reason Watford is. I remember going back. I remember a few years back there was a 2-1. We were playing at Vicarage Road, and it was a 2-1 when I think Craig Cathcart of all people scored. And I can't remember when that was, but I remember thinking, how the fuck have we lost to Watford? It's Watford. And I think since then our record against Watford isn't. I'm not sure what our record is. Let me check.
I think the last time we went there, it was 0-0. Didn't Troy Deeney miss a penalty?
I remember that. That was a couple of years ago.
And we nearly had a VAR goal line decision that was like about 2 millimeters off hitting the goal.
Around the last minute.
Our last win was in 2018. We've lost, drawn, lost the last 5 fixtures we played. Jesus.
At Vicarage Road.
2018, I think that was the fixture on New Year's Day, wasn't it? The last season they played was 17-18.
Yeah, 4-1. We did 4-1.
So it was actually on New Year's Day as well. So
yeah.
we drew against twice.
We drew against them. Then sorry, this is Watford's record against us. Sorry, they haven't won in 5. Sorry, I've typed it in the wrong way into Google. Yeah, so we've drawn 2 and won 3 of the last 5 meetings, so that's pretty confident I am with that. Their last win was the one I was talking about, the 2-1 at Vicarage Road in 2018. But I'm thinking that if we set up the way we did against Southampton, because the difference with Southampton is it's harder to break down a team with 10 who put 10 men behind the ball rather than a team with 11 who put 7 men behind the ball and give you 4 attacking options, because then you can counter them. But when Southampton lost Salisu, they just stopped. They just well, we're going to hold out for a draw because there's no way we're winning this. And if you lot win, then it's expected. But if you don't win, it's almost more embarrassing for you than it is for us, because you couldn't break down a 10-man team. And predicting a pretty intense game, because Ismail Assar is still out, isn't he?
Yep.
He's not playing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a big boost for us. They've got Emi Dennis, who I guess is on form at the moment, but Watford aren't. He's on form, but the Watford aren't particularly on form. But I think the game against Watford is going to be last time I said it, last time I came on here, I said I can't see any way that we don't win at Southampton, and look what happened.
Exactly. So you never know how it's going to turn up, I guess, till the game starts. But listening to what Conte had to say before the game, he was talking about how he's evaluated his squad. What do you think he would have evaluated?
He would have evaluated how much Ndombele likes to eat, and that's a bit of a that's not fair. No, I'm messing. He's evaluated that everyone wanted Harry Winks' head at the beginning. Everyone wanted him to go until we realised who else do we have in that position other than Winks, Højbjerg, and Skip. Who else do we have that can play DM? Pretty much no one. So we need to keep Winks because DM is not a priority for Conte. He's expressed. He was talking about Hugo Lloris. There's been chatterings in France that he's looking for a return to Nice. Conte's come out and said that he wants to stay. Hugo's Tottenham captain, and if I'm not mistaken, if he stays till the summer and then starts the new season, it's 10 years. He's got a testimonial. Is that?
I don't know if they still do testimonials.
Yeah, well,
I think they.
Darren Anderson's still waiting for his testimonial.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
We'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, well, Hugo Lloris it'll be 10 years to the summer if he stays. So I'm sure he'll want to make that 10 years official. So I really hope he does because he's been pretty much outstanding for the last 7 or 8 of them. So I mean, he's had drop offs. He's had his ups and downs. And I remember when he got injured, Gazaniga came in, and well, less said about him the better. But I do think if he's evaluating the squad, it means he's looking for changes. He's not just said, I'm happy with who I've got. We're not going to make... He's come out and said, I want to make 2-3 signings in positions that he knows he wants. I was having a debate with my friend about when Kuti comes back, because he started to train again. I saw the pictures. It's looking very promising that he should be back. Who do you drop? Because Davis is a pretty much ever-present. Do you drop Dyer or do you drop Sanchez? And I've been talking with friends, and some said Sanchez, some said Dyer. No one said Davis because he's left-footed. But if Conte's looking at competition for the left centre-back spot, then that means with the return of Kuti, we're looking at maybe 2 starting 11 defences that we can have with 6 senior centre-backs. Because if you've got Ben Davis, Eric Dyer and Kuti, then you've got Tanganga, Sanchez, and then the left centre-back that he wants to bring in for competition for Davis. So I think he's looking to try and shore up that if... God forbid we play 2 games in 2 days like we did last time, he can reshuffle his entire defence and be able to count on them. So I think he's looking at the left centre-back, A, competition for Davis, but B, also for being able to rotate his defence fully if he really has to, because Doherty and Dele and Ndombele would be 3 of the names I'd pluck out of a hat to sell, because we're not going to get any value for Lo Celso. He hasn't played. He's at the moment, he's worth about as much as a packet of Walkers. Like his injury record is it could rival Tolstoy's War and Peace for the amount of paper you'd be able to put it on. There's so little value that Lo Celso can get us that I think there's no point in selling, because who's going to buy him?
I'll tell you all, by Mikey. We should just lend him out to one of those no win, no fee injury.
No win, no fee, no risk guarantee.
Just use him as like the crash test dummy, and he could just do that. Oh, you had a 4-1, you got injured in a warm up, in a warm down, in a whatever. But it's interesting.
No, because he'd obviously get injured getting out the car on the way there. So I think there's no option to sell. Lo Celso would be the first name I'd sell, because we've seen what Ndombele can do, and Dele Alli's just a handy squad player to have. Lo Celso offers nothing. I would sell him, but there's no sell-on value. We bought him for something like, what was it, 25 million?
I thought it was about 35. It was more than that. He's one of our top transfers.
And because we loaned him in. If we bought him in after the season ended, it would have been 50 million. But we bought him in January for 35, and like that summer when we brought in Ryan Sessegnon and Giovanni Lo Celso, everyone was like, Sessegnon's a player for the future. Lo Celso will do it for us now. Well, now look at them. They've both been pretty injury ridden, but Cess has at least had his moments. You know, he scored against Bayern in a 1-1 draw a couple of years back. He's done at least something to warrant his place in the team, and even just as a backup for Reggie. But Lo Celso, I think, is definitely the player we need to look to sell on, but he's not going to be able to be sold. So it looks like Ndombele, Dele, Doherty, they'll be the names that you're looking to get rid of. and then buy a new like right wing back to give Emerson some competition, or even to usurp him into the starting 11. Because I've been impressed with Emerson, but I've also been very disappointed with Emerson. He's had, when he's performed well, he's performed really well. He just hasn't performed really well enough to warrant that. And there's been a lot of talk of a Trippier return. Honestly, the way things are going, this is never going to happen. Honestly, realistically, it's never going to happen because all the top class right backs like Trent, Hakimi, Reece James, they're never going to come to Tottenham. Trippier's locked in for Newcastle. I mean, who else do you have? But like Man City, they have two really good right backs, and I know Cancelo is playing at left back, but Man City and their obsession with fullbacks, if they buy a left back and shove Cancelo out to right back, you've got Kyle Walker just chilling. I'd honestly bring him back because he's not going to cost as much. He's in his 30s now. He's still got the pace. He'd be brilliant for that. I know it's never going to happen, but I would want him back because I remember what he did in a fullback. Imagine if he's given the license to roam forward constantly. The pace that man's got, he'll beat just about anyone. I mean, unless Wolves put Adama Traore at left wing back, then there's absolutely no one he can't beat. So I know it's never going to happen. I'm constantly saying that, but that would be my choice. Would be a return for Walker as a short-term stopgap until we can find a younger, more for the future.
Here we go. We're always looking in the past, but Bale back, Walker back, Trippier back.
Not just a sentimental, but it's the day before that window opens, and let the delusion run riot. There's no way. We were having this discussion yesterday about
what would you do if Walker signed?
Do you know what? Don't get me wrong. I completely agree. We were having this discussion last night. I was having it with Kim and Rez as well, and we were saying like if you could bring a right back into the fold right now from Tottenham past however long it may be, who's the one that you'd want back in this system? And it's Kyle Walker every single day because of the pace, the power. But there is no chance whatsoever of that.
Is there a wager on the?
Oh Jesus! Wages I could do. Wages I could do. Those I could do. Yeah, Walker ain't coming back. He ain't coming back.
Yeah, I understand.
These are famous last words for me.
Saying Brian, the last time Brian made a definitive statement, he ended up with a tattoo. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, I'm in your chair. I blame you in your chair. I'm in Ben's chair right now. I'm not going to do anything stupid.
Well, I do think that if he's looking at squad depth, there'll be. I want Vlahovic. Everyone wants Vlahovic, but I'm just struggling to figure out because Kane and Son are undroppable. But if you buy Vlahovic, is he going to be one of playing as a backup to Kane like Vinicius was? Because with all due respect to Vinicius, Vlahovic is simply a class above. So with Vlahovic knowing how good he is, Fiorentina value him at 70 million, he would be our record signing. Is he there for when Kane gets injured or for when Kane needs a rest, or is he there to challenge Kane? That's the thing.
He's too good not to.
Yeah, but then if you start to challenge Kane, how do you accommodate all three of them? Because Vlahovic is not a right winger and Son is not an attacking midfielder, and that's the formation that Conte likes to play. You could mould Son into an attacking midfielder, but for a player who's nearly 30 or who is 30, is he 30?
Who?
Son.
He's 29, yeah, nearly.
29. For a player who's nearly 30 to change so dramatically, I can't see it happening. And with the new contract he signed, I think he expects to be part of the front two or front three. So Vlahovic would be the perfect person to bring in if Kane had left. But I don't see Kane leaving now with Man City's interest seemingly stalling and no one else willing to pay the fee that Levy wants, considering his awful start to the season. So I think he's looking for like one marquee signing and then competition signings, not to slot in and say, you are no longer needed, we're bringing him in. I can't see who we're bringing in at right wing back because, the options we've been linked with in the past, Max Aarons is no longer the player he used to be. The 30 million Bayern Munich linked boy is seemingly just championship fodder now. He's being torn apart by Prem left wingers on a regular basis. If Gabriel Martinelli can sell him a new one, I wouldn't really want him in the Spurs team, to put it lightly. Who else do you have? Kieran Trippier. I can't think of many others who we want to bring in. Tariq Lamptey is an interesting one because he's had his injury struggles again. Like, we've brought in players on promise before. I'm scared he'll turn into the next Lo Celso. When we brought him in, he had a pretty bad injury record before he came to Tottenham. Like, he was really good for that half season in 1920, and then he got injured, came back, played a couple of games, and got injured again. His injury record's starting to pile up, so I'd be wary of that. And for the price Brighton would probably want, we wouldn't be able to prize him out with the money that we then want to spend on other players as well.
What about Adama?
He can't defend for shit.
But that's
I know
another rumour that's just lingering around, isn't it?
I'd love Adama Traore as an option off the bench because he's the ultimate super sub. Like, if you're in the 70th minute and you want someone to come on and terrorize your defense, I think defenders are sick. I think Alan Saint-Maximin and Adama Traore are probably the only two players who, every time a defender goes up against them, you think, oh, fuck. Because Mohamed Salah he cuts in and shoots. But if you want a player who just runs at you, Alan Saint-Maximin and Adama Traore are the scariest players to play against in the Premier League. And there's no way on God's green earth with Newcastle's new riches that they're letting anywhere near Alan Saint-Maximin. So, I mean, I'd want him. He would fit in so well into that front three. I think if we had Alan Saint-Maximin in our team, it would be different gravy. But yeah, Adama Traore rumor keeps lingering about, but I don't think he's the man. I don't think he's the man, to be honest.
Well, that's that as well. With Lamptey, obviously, I think with us now, what we've got to look at is Conte has those 3 fitness coaches. And they are very, very good at their job. Look, they established what was going on with Lukaku. It was a gut problem, and they changed his diet. These guys know what they're doing. And I think if they came for a Tottenham Hotspur medical, these guys would be hands-on, and they would be able to see if it's something that's, like they said with Sessegnon, it's an injury that he keeps getting. I've seen this with other players. We'll fix it. I think right now, when we look at these injury players, especially the youngsters, Lamptey, I think the fitness coaches will have a more hands-on with the doctors at the medical to actually see, right, this is something we could do with this, because I think Conte has got a track record of turning these little niggly injury problems into kind of non-existent, and maybe they pick up an odd injury here and there, but they're not as prominent as what they always are. So Lamptey is one I reckon that if the medical team looked at it and said, yeah, we can deal with this, it would definitely be a purchase worth making.
Yeah, that's a very good point as well. But again, Brighton, like, they haven't got anything to lose. They're not in a relegation battle. They're not challenging for Europe. They're comfortable Premier League. You know, they were challenging for Europe at the beginning of the season, but they're not in danger of plummeting down the division. So would Lamptey have an incentive? Would Brighton have an incentive to accept the kind of cash for a player like that? There's 2 different types. There's other team prices, and then there's Tottenham prices. Yep. If a player's worth 50 million, we'll offer 35 million and a Kit Kat. So would Brighton be incentivized? Would Brighton be incentivized to accept the money that Tottenham would offer, or would they charge us more? We'd pull out, and it would just be another failed signing that the fans would get on Levy's back about. You know.
I shouldn't comment on this one.
Look, Mikey, always good to speak to you, my friend. Good to have you on.
You too, guys. Happy New Year, and
to you, buddy.
Happy to, yeah.
If you reach 100k before the match review on tomorrow. There's just been another game cancelled.
Yeah, Newcastle Southampton has been postponed.
Yeah. Anyway, congrats on reaching 100k. If you reach 100k before I'm on next, and yeah, you better show us the silver play button that you guys are gonna get.
Don't you worry about that. Viewers will be the first to see it. Any New Year's resolutions to you, Mikey?
No
one's thought about the new year, have they?
Oh. I've made this one every year, and I'll keep making it. Go to at least one Tottenham Hotspur away game, and it's never happened before, but I'm hoping this year will be the year.
All right, we'll try and make that happen for you, Mikey. Don't you worry about that.
I was looking, because I'm in uni. I was looking to get tickets to the away game at Brentford, but I'll be out of uni before the game happens. So, yeah. Anyway, have a good one, guys, and I won't want to keep the other guys waiting. So have a good one.
And you too, mate. Buddy. Nice one, Mikey.
All the best.
Bye.
All the best to you, mate. All right, that was Mikey giving his opinions. Let's go on to the next caller, and it's Ben Kaufman. Let's get Ben on. Hey, Ben, how you doing, my friend?
Morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you go.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you calling? What are you talking to Brian? I thought you were talking when you said it.
No, it's to my best buddy, Phil Lattis, on our morning show, if he ever turns up.
Yeah. Oh, hashtag awkward.
I can tell you he was on time today, so that's all I know. Ben, look, we got Watford on New Year's Day. We drew last time at Southampton in what was a frustrating game. How important is it that we win this game, and how do you see it going with Watford in terrible form? But they do they've got a striker in fine form. So, is there any danger of us dropping points, do you think, on the weekend?
There's always danger of us dropping points, especially if we're looking at teams lesser than us. That seems to be our play at the moment. As soon as we play against a team we should be battering, we let our guard down and we let them get stupid goals against us. So hopefully Mr. Conte is looking at this and thinking, right, we need to win this game. Don't put any of the players that have a weak mentality in the team, and it's just batter them in the first half and then rest players for the Chelsea game. That's what we need to do. That's what we should be looking out for anyway. But hopefully we can keep Dennis under control, because he seems to be in a massive vein of form at the moment. So we just need to keep calm and control the game, and we can win this game quite easily.
Just think with Dennis, I don't know how small teams are doing this. Watford find Dennis, Brentford find Watkins, then they find Tony, and other teams like Leicester with their scout network. Yet we can never find in this whole time the one replacement or backup or competition we need for Kane. I don't know how these teams are doing it, and we just seem to struggle to find the right striker. It blows my mind.
It's because the recruitment at the club is a joke, first and foremost. I mean, now we've got a proper managing director in charge of the scouting network, so hopefully he can fix what's happening. The blame goes into what's his name? I can't remember his name. Daniel Levy's twin brother. I can never remember his name.
Steve Hitchin.
That's the one. It's all his fault. He keeps on buying players that are not suitable for the team and spending too much money on them. So hopefully with the new managing director, he's already sorting out our transfer network and hopefully bringing in some names from maybe the Italian league. I think that's what our style of play is going to be in the next 5 years, that style of football. So hopefully we can buy some gems from Italy or from wider Europe, because we've been shocking about finding young players to replace Harry Kane.
Yeah, and but that's what people say. Do we need someone to compete with or replace Harry Kane, or as a backup to Harry Kane? How do you see that striker situation for you?
We need both. A team should not go into a season without at least 3 strikers. You should have 2 main strikers that play every other game, and you should have 1 striker to play in the smaller games. That's the way Tottenham did it for years. For once we had 4 heavy hitters, and now we only have 1. It's poor recruitment from the team again. I mean, if strikers don't want to come to Tottenham because they don't want to compete with Harry Kane, they shouldn't be coming to the club. If they don't want to compete, the point of being a footballer is to compete. And if you can't compete with your own teammates, how can you compete with Manchester City, Chelsea, Arsenal, United? We need to be finding these players. We need 2 quality strikers and 1 backup who's going to learn from them.
But if you ask Daniel Levy, he would argue that we have them in Kane and Son.
Son's not a striker. We've known this for years. He's not tall enough.
We're playing him up front, aren't we, at the moment?
We are, but he's. It's just going to get Sonny injured because he's doing the work he shouldn't be doing. We should be focusing on what Sonny's good at, which is getting on the left, dragging defenders out of position, and making space for Harry Kane's and other players and Lucas Moura's. And that's what he's good at. So we do need a proper forward in the shape of a Dusan Vlahovic. It's going to be sort of a more orthodox number 9 for that role.
And in terms of outgoings, there's a lot of talk about Dele and Dombele, even Matt Doherty potentially moving out in January. What deals do you expect to be done on the outgoings before the windows are up at the end of the month?
I hope we can be very clever with what we're doing. And Dombele is not going unless someone puts in a minimum £30 million bid. So what we need to do is we need to start doing our sort of Italian style deals of getting players out on loan with an obligation to buy if they hit certain targets, like what Paratici does with our signings. We need to start getting these players into a shop window by basically making them play at another club. Doherty needs to go. As much as we try, he's just not good enough. It's just first and foremost. We need fullbacks that are athletic, fast, and he's none of those. I mean, he's very unlucky to not get the goal the other day against Southampton that was wrongly ruled out. Yep. But he's just one game in 2 years. He shouldn't be at the club. Delhi needs to go, even if it only take a Kit Kat for him, or even a smoked salmon bagel. That's what I would take for him. Maybe a Bloom salami. I don't know, one of those. Delhi just needs to go. I mean, it was a disaster class against Southampton. Not even touching the ball for the most part. He just needs to go.
Do you think he starts against Watford, Ben? To
No.
be put in the shop window. No.
No, just I hope he never plays a game again. He should
I've
never play a Tottenham game again after that performance. I mean, the manager's given him a lot of time to prove that he's good. And against Liverpool, he missed 3 sitters. At least he was getting in the positions that time. But against Southampton, it was a total disaster class. We need players that are going to come into the team and win the game, and he's not one of them, unfortunately.
Would he be your first player out of the door?
No, Tongi would be, and that shows how bad Tongi is. If I complain all day about how bad Dele Alli is, and Tongi's still worse than him, Tongi's got to go. His mental attitude is damaging to the rest of the team. He's just got to go.
How much do you reckon Spurs get for him if they do? I feel would it be just because he's on such a large wage? Would it have to be a loan deal in the short term to convince someone to buy him?
Yeah, it's going to have to be. I'm going to refer to my good friend Sean Butler saying, even if we get him out on loan and pay 100 grand of his wages a week, we're still saving, what is it, 5 million a year on his wages.
Yep.
So we just need to get him out of the club, see if he can find a home somewhere like a Juventus or just an Italian team, because I reckon he'd do well in Italy or back in France even. Just get him out of the club and save on his wages for the most part, because 10 million a year in his wages and him to only go to McDonald's is pretty shocking.
Oh God. So what's your prediction then for tomorrow?
I reckon we'll win 5-1. I think we'll have them. I think Conte's going to be right up on them after the disaster class against Southampton. So I reckon the players will be fired up to beat Watford. But we'll always concede a goal with Sanchez and Dyer in defence, even though they've been playing well. We'll always concede a goal with those two. Hopefully not, but I reckon we'll put them to the sword.
All right. Well, Ben, it's been good to see you.
Always.
Good to speak to you. Always a pleasure. Thank you again for becoming a member as well. But let's hope you got your scoreline right.
And Happy New Year,
Ben. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, chaps. New Year's.
What's your resolution? New Year's resolution? Anything?
Just to keep well. Hopefully we find some more customers for the coffee company in general, and hopefully it's a nice, healthy New Year for everyone.
All right, I think
You've
we
got
can
a
all
new
get behind
customer
that.
coming next week. Guaranteed.
I'll see. Bring Danny Kiriakou. Bring that man.
Danny
Kiriakou.
Yep, okay, I'll see what I can do.
Love it. Nice one, Ben. Good to see you, my
Cheers,
friend.
boys. As always, thank you, boys.
No worries. All right, that was Ben Kaufman. Was he the last caller? That's it. All right. That is all the callers. That brings the end to the show. We have been discussing all things Tottenham today with the Watford game coming up and Conte's presser and all the January transfer business that's set to come forward. Yep. Thank you, Phil, for coming to the studio for the first time. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed being alive. Pleasure having you in. And Brian, as always, thank you for coming on.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. Just to let you know, there's been no update with Bob, so I'm sure we'll get it during the pre-recorded shows we do. So keep an eye out on them. There will be an update at some point as soon as we hear it. But most importantly, let's get these boys to 100k. And let's do it. It looks like we haven't done it on this stream, so the live stream.
Well, I was always ambitious.
What are we on?
We're on 653.
Okay.
99653. So about 350 to go. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it looks like the watch along it may be.
All right.
Let's do it though. Let's get the new year. 3 points. Bob better, and these boys up to 100k.
Big up to you, Brian. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you for everyone interacting in the stream and all your chats and super chats and likes and comments. Thank you, everyone, again for joining us this morning. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come
on, you Spurs.